in their favor.
Yeah, that rotating towards the north side, they were able to pick up more and more surge on the teams trying to rotate deep into the zone. But again, more switch ups going down. Game 2, it does look like G Money, 𝐒𝐷, and Bryce are going to be uncontested inside of the mountain. But you see in the mini map, there's a full trio at the top of the mountain, so they're going to be splitting as much of this loot as possible. And this is something that we saw go down throughout the course of the day yesterday, and they're just trying to make sure that they don't risk their entire game on that off spawn fight.
Yeah, off spawn, always the tricky one, especially when you're going 50-50. We saw a little bit of that yesterday from those teams as well, kind of opting to split it up. One thing was for certain, though, when G-Monster's team got away successfully in the early game without any contestation, they seem to have had really good games come out of it. So a lot of promising hope for a trio like that, but 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 have not let up just yet. They're looking to continue the pace here from the previous game, and King and 𝐒𝐷 continue to do just that. But the whiff shot, oh, for a second there, the little hiccup, I thought he missed the important tag, but nope. He ended up finishing off the full trio.
Yeah, this is about this team. 𝐒𝐷 making the plays in game number 1 to kind of lead them to the rest of the game off spawn, and then now it's King's turn. I talked about the aggression. We both did. We saw it through group stages. It's finally great to see it here in back-to-back games for them. Over towards the bridge, though, a fight that we were watching yesterday. Another 50-50 for that floor loot. I think both teams kind of switching it up just a little bit. Once again, where you're at on the leaderboard means so much. Not just the first place FNCS championship, not just the global spots, but there's still a great amount of money to be won.
Yeah, and your history, right? Especially for these teams that are now starting to consistently make their way to finals. This is their legacy beginning to get developed here in real time. You know, and you got to give credits to Eulogy, Phenom, and Yusuf. I know last game was a little bit of a rough one for them, just given the circumstances, but they turned things into an 11th place game for them, really popping off. And not only that, that jumps them up to 16th place overall on the standings. So a top 10 could be in the conversation here, but they got to make it past the drop first. And Donnie, Craze, and Joji seems to have kind of taken control of the Shining Span this time around.
Yeah, they even got that elimination on Eulogy before he was able to get over that mountain. So they just got to figure out how to get that reboot card. As we turn on over to Crime City, business as usual for our first place team. Just unfortunate going down in 9th place, which left a good amount of placement points still on the board, and obviously elimination. So 𝐒𝐲𝐬 able to close the gap to 6. But landing over towards the server room, getting the train, PeterBot immediately building up and looking over towards Foxy Floodgates. That's where you have Visual Braids and a Minish. It's just a little bit of early game surge, and PeterBot just takes most of that damage. Forced to kind of take a break here, breathe, reassess the situation.
Up on a full chug jug here, I don't blame him. Some prestigious heals getting utilized here. Visuals, you can see, looking to potentially play a cheeky little side angle right there. 𝐒𝐲𝐬, though. Volt secured. Now time to head out, start looking for that damage. 𝐒𝐲, no upgraded rifle. We'll see if he can kind of fish for something new here shortly. 𝐒𝐲𝐬 have pulled off 7 pickups, most of any team so far in the game. Those revives being absolutely clutch, most of which obviously was accumulated yesterday, we saw in those final games. But still, even now, 𝐒𝐲 got saved in the last round as well. So crucial for their strategy is keeping the entire team up.
Yeah, it's just in part the way they kind of play the low ground, getting the front side of the zone. At times even taking storm damage just to get deep into the zone with their builds before they backtrack. They found a lot of success in that game. If they can keep this momentum going, we can have this race all day long. But a new horse has entered the mix. Acorn, Pollo, Agers. They won that last game. They climbed up the leaderboard. They got a tying spot on the leaderboard, and they're winning the tiebreaker due to that victory royale in that last game over Reek, Cooper, and Curly. And they're sticking to the strategies. They got access to Mass Meadows uncontested, the vault with an abundance of loot, and they immediately go on over towards that black market, where Acorn's the one that kind of relays a lot of those extra heals on over.
Yeah, what's really nice is they're keeping up the pacing, the momentum that they kind of left themselves off with games 5 and 6 yesterday, really setting them up big time to be in the conversation, and then to, of course, initiate the tournament day 2 with a win. It's going to be the perfect storm here for them right now. And you can arguably say, you know, it's about a 5-way tie between 3rd down to 8th, right? They're all just within a couple of means points away from each other. really is overall a super close competition. But one thing I wanted to also highlight was this trio right here. Visuals, Braids, and Aminished. My gosh, have they been playing some excellent Fortnite. Really just a sleeper team. And this is one that's been around the block for a long time, right? This is not a trio that's just new by any means, but they seem to have this season figured out.
Yeah, whether you're, doing the watch parties, Fortnite Comp Report, or 𝐒𝐷𝐷𝐷 himself, this is always a team when I'm looking at their predictions, Monster. They're a dark horse. They're always in the conversation. Even when Visual and Braids were a duo landing at a split drop that they made themselves, they always command that respect. And with the early game that we saw, with Aminished going down, eliminated by PeterBot, we saw Visuals going down over towards Foxy Floodgates, forced to reboot. They were still able to pull off a 6th place with 6 eliminations, which gives them that 24-point lead over 4th place.
And last game, I mean, just play from Aminished. Incredible stuff to make that push and keep his tournament run alive, keep him in the game to even have a little piece of an end game there. It's definitely the difference maker. Ritual Cold and PeterBot, though, just kind of setting up here. You can see they've already done what they had to do over at the drop. Now they're looking to kind of disperse out. Meanwhile, 𝐭𝐷𝐷𝐷 Bolts back on the hunt here, continuing to take these Eastern fights, and most importantly, take them with no fear of sitting in the zone for a while. I mean, look at the head count here. They found 𝐒𝐷 and then box him up. Oh no, gotta be doing better than that. 𝐒𝐷 somehow didn't even have his walls under control before this all kicked off, and then Bolt's getting right to it. Wonderful tags there. That's some big damage for them right now.
Yeah, even though they're able to get 𝐒𝐷𝐷𝐷 back, they're not really able to do anything with it. And I like the way Bolts played it, even though they didn't need it, because as you said, they boxed him up. You saw how he went across the entire left side, let Sphinx and 𝐭𝐷𝐷𝐷 push directly towards his opponent. He was prepared just in case he was trying to disengage, run out. He would have ran into Bolts, but they were just too quick. Bolts didn't really get to do anything. Maybe the next fight, buddy, as he's looking towards the backside of zone, sees a full trio back there. And right now, it's essentially up to them how long they want to stay here at this spot on the map, how long they want to try to hold that team out, and how much surge they think is okay for them to rotate out.
Back on over to the Seaport City. Zone still kind of hovering around this general area, so a lot of time bought here. But you notice the markers are out. They're going to be looking to focus on the Eastern teams. Teams like 𝐭𝐷𝐷𝐷 potentially that are out there.
He just blocks it off. Nope. No free damage for you over there, but they're still able to sneak some through. Thresh just looking at that armored vehicle, trying to rotate in towards zones. Definitely hard to land shots, but if that third player, your trio, is in the back and he falls out, you leave him behind, it's almost open season, so you got to be careful for that one as you're rotating through. As Muzz, Rise, 𝐒𝐷𝐄. You can see they're already beginning that rotation out of shiny shafts, slowly but surely, since the zone is rather close. And you can kind of see where the zone is at this time around, just inside of Lone Wolf Slaver. Maybe a little bit of brutal boxcars on the side.
Nice calm here right now for the team. Rise positioned up at the surge base right now, but zone's already starting to pop here. Looks like another Eastern draw so far.
Just look around, see how many teams are still getting left behind. They have the time and the luxury to do it, but on the other side, they might not. Broken, 𝐿iam 20. No extra shields for Broken. He does have a med kit, so you can see the possibility of how long this fight has actually been going on, but there is going to be one knock on the other side. 20 goes down, so still a 2v2 breaking out, but at least Broken was able to grab a lot of that extra loot. The siphon mats could be the difference maker as the cleanup finally goes through onto 𝐿𝐿. 2v2 breaking out, but a full third trio, a third party is now moving in to interrupt this fight.
So I was going to say, 𝐸𝐵, �skittles, 𝐶imp, sitting comfortably on the outskirts, watching it all go down, chipping away at damage here. They have the prime positioning, and notice what they're trying to do. Let this middle team kind of wrap things up or break it out, initiate it, so they can clean up the extra 𝐒𝐿ims that start to scatter away. And one thing's for certain, they're picking up a lot of damage with the 𝐿𝐼 on the run now. In comes 𝐻𝐿ips and crew. �skittles, 𝐶imp already putting more shots down. Broken forced the 𝐷𝐿𝐿 here alongside 𝐿iam. Very little time left, but �skittles is on the wall. 𝐸𝐵's on the other side here. It's just a matter of time. before they likely pick up these elims right now. And I mean, if you're Liam and team, you're thinking about, you know, what went wrong this game, right? They had a couple great moments where they were kind of breaking out of the early game, but things just not really trending in their direction right now.
Yeah, they thought it, since the zone had pulled so far away, maybe they had an isolated fight, but 𝐒𝐷𝐿, 𝐶h, and 𝐕, kind of part of their strategy, staggering themselves this far back in the zone. They get a lot of the extra loot. They do a little bit what some of these other teams do, whether they're fighting off spawn or just trying to take shots on any teams rotating late, trying to get out of the zone. This time around, it does work out for them. And one of the big reasons why they feel so comfortable staying so deep into zone on this side of the map is because there's geysers, launch pads, then obviously if they have the kneecappers, there's a lot of different mobility tools they can use to close the distance quick.
From the highlight, how things end up working there. And I was just looking at the standings. That's going to put them up in 13th place right now. A couple of eliminations away from 12th right now for 𝐕, 𝐶𝐷𝐿, and 𝐶h. We're keeping tabs on them, seeing if they can fight their way into a top 10 after this game's over. Cooper, Ree, and Curly continuing the action here at the Flooded Frogs. So far, so good for them as far as the overall damage. Zone's gonna land relatively close here.
In that last game for them, with a little bit of a different zone pull, not have magic mosses like yesterday, that was their worst game of the tournament so far. They were still able to get a 10th place with 3 eliminations, but we're kind of seeing them really be put to work here early on here in day 2. In the feed, I did see 𝐷𝐿 get it down onto 𝐿𝐷𝐢. 𝐒𝐷𝐢 does look like he's still alive, though. They have a chance to heal up. They have med mist smokes, water sprites, a bunch of different utility, and they have the luxury to go back in the zone over towards Mass Meadows to get the reboot back onto 𝐿𝐷𝐢. So it should be not too much hard work for them to be alive as a trio once more. The biggest thing that I'm really watching out for is with 𝐿𝐷𝐢 going down, getting rebooted, how much surge did they actually lose off of that?
Yeah, it's the setback that really makes the difference. Take a look at it. It's against Xanda, Evan, and 𝐷𝐿. Oh, they get deleted from behind. It's the small things, right? The small regrets that end up sending you right back.
I feel like it's happening more and more where you think you have an isolated fight that deep in the zone, and then out of nowhere, a third team comes out of nowhere. Visuals, Braids, and Diminished. They were able to quickly move north from Foxy Floodgates. They're trying to get the Brutal Boxcars Mountain. And if the trend continues and we have some of the same zones game after game hovering over each other, we're going to see a lot of proactivity come out of some of these teams, this being one of them. Then now, depending on where there's... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is where they positioned up last game, right? They seemed to be comfortable coming here, taking the fights on this mountain, but this time around, they wanted to get here early so they didn't have to really box out, you know, a team while getting third-partied. So they get the full wipe, and then look at that. They're fully based up now.
Read my mind right there. And this is, I feel like, one of the first times we're seeing 𝐿𝐷𝐢, 𝐻𝐈𝐿, and 𝐷𝐻𝐈𝐿 actually fight for this black market. They're realizing how close the tournament is, and they're pulling out every single strategy, going back to what they know has worked in some of those past divisional cup tournaments. 341 damage above the threshold. The zone is moving over towards this direction. So they're maybe learning, adapting here as the games go on.
Don't call it too early now. We might jinx it. We get another Magic Moss's endgame. Little update from Agers, though, going on here. So 𝐿𝐷𝐢 picked up little damage, given that he's playing the zone right now. Agers is making super sure there's no one kind of lurking about right here, not trusting a bush, not trusting the builds. This tower is obviously still in the zone right now.
Uh-oh. It's like a stroll in the park on one side, but on this one, 𝐻𝐈𝐿 just takes a big shot, maybe even kneecapper on top. 𝐿𝐷𝐢 as well, dropped down to 105 HP and shield, forced to backtrack. At least he reunites with 𝐻𝐈𝐿, where he knows he has a little bit of extra help, so that way he can finally pop those heals. It's 𝐻𝐈𝐿 the one that has a little bit of worry. I say that lightly, though, because he already has elimination onto Tony. That's going to help with the siphon, the extra materials as they continue to push forward.
Actually caught the second elimination there as well. So look at this. Last game, they kicked it off with 4 elims in the early game. This time, they're finding some mid-game critical fights here. And then they get to secure the market and everything in between right now, this is actually perfect. And now you look in the outskirts, there are other options as well, right? You have to think about how those teams are likely thinking that they need to get into a surge fight as well. But if you're 𝐒𝐔𝐷, 𝐒𝐷, and 𝐶𝐈𝐷, they got a brief glimpse of how well set up they are right now.
It's just unfortunate. 𝐒𝐷's by himself, and they have some extra HP down below, so they can literally outstay their welcome over there. 𝐒𝐷, 𝐒𝐿, Muzz, still slow to rotate. Pulls further and further towards brutal boxcars. Again, that mountain range that some have invested into early on might have been the fruitful play that works out. But with 845 damage above the threshold, they really don't have to worry about anything other than making it to zone. And it sounds easier than it actually is, because you saw what trio is waiting at the other side.
Somehow, some way, miracles are true. They weren't spotted out. They could see Ritual and Cold moving their heels out of the base. And look at how quickly they end up boxing down. But hold up, 𝐒𝐷, 𝐒𝐷, and 𝐿𝐿 not letting up the pressure here. They ended up tailing that team that just got the pickup right off the outskirts on the bridge. And it's 𝐺monster and 𝐒𝐷 who fall now to the hands of 𝐒𝐷, 𝐒𝐷, and 𝐿𝐿. So big set of eliminations here. We talked about them being out of damage. They're only 181 above after picking up 2 eliminations. So it shows you they could have been 500 or 600 behind just moments ago.
Oh. You know where it's going, right, Monster? You know where we're headed, right? I mean, they can take the train because we're going to brutal boxcars is what it looks like. That mountain range that some invested into might be worth it, as JoJo Fishy trying to pass PeterBot. He gets taken down from one player to the next. 𝐻𝐈 feels that same pain, and they felt it twice in the same game because remember, they were trying to disengage as a solo. At least he got the reboot attempt onto some of his teammates, but these are the things you really just have to watch out for. And that's only their second elimination so far, and they're almost 600 above the damage threshold.
You guys see why Muzz and team were like, oh, wait a second, we're not gonna get by this base. That's exactly what happens. They were looking to dive onto the next team they saw for sure. 𝐶𝐈𝐷, 𝐿𝐿, and 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 though, 113 damage below the threshold. This is obviously one of the worst positions you could be in here. And they have a decision to make. They're going to go 5 splash down and then into the box here. So 𝐸𝐵, �Ｓkittles, and 𝐶IMP are an option. And then you have Cooper's team down low. Ooh, 𝐸𝐷, Cooper, 𝐿𝐿 have to be counting their lucky stars because Bolt, 𝐻𝐿, and 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 are on the way, and they're hungry for an elimination here. They need damage. Nothing just yet.
This is not good. 𝐶IMP goes down. Eliminated. Active Storm Surge means you're not going to get knocked. And they're just falling further and further below, from a little bit over 100 to now 321 damage below the threshold. That's close to 2 full eliminations on the players. And it's something that you got to be careful for because they don't have any extra heals, no shields, no HP. Luckily for them, they're able to look to the backside of the zone and trying to land some shots, but it bites them in the end. 𝐸𝐵, �Skittles, 𝐶IMP, they might have forgot about him, but they didn't forget about you. They turn on to 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬, get that elimination, and force Bolts into a mad scramble.
Tough spot to be in here now. And although he has to play defensive, you kind of can't, right? Like, you don't have the luxury, you don't have the time. There it is. Things are active. Sees a base, goes into it. Amplify cleans him up. That's going to be the end. Team 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 there. Cooper, 𝐸𝐵, and 𝐿𝐿 take full advantage of the fight that they hear break off next door. Meanwhile, Muzz, 𝐻𝐈, and 𝐺AB𝐄, no troubles in the world right now as they go for an early rotate to try to get to this zone. And I'm a little curious if this was the best way to go. There's a huge body of water. Team's already set up on this side. Just gonna have to watch it play out.
Just trying to heal up. I can sense them passing around that chug jug before this rotation just to top everybody off. Rise peeking through. And they got to be careful here because, like you said, they have to go over that open body of water. Now they're one of the last teams to rotate on over. And if anybody is going to be below surge, they're definitely going to be looking back. And on the other side of that bridge, they're going to run into 𝐿𝐿. They're going to run into 𝐻𝐈 and 𝐿𝐿. And they're just putting pressure on every team that has to rotate through that water.
Jacob, I was asking myself, what team could it, like, who pulled the zone right there? Like, who's set up already on the other side? Big body of water to protect them. It's 𝐿𝐿, 𝐻𝐈, and 𝐿𝐿 with the prime positioning. Talk about key real estate right here. This is a perfect position to be in. Not only that, they have the natural elevation and the high ground up above them as well. This is where you want to be right now. Not too comfortable. You can see 𝐒𝐷 just kind of staying on his toes right now. Replay coming in for 𝐒𝐷 and PeterBot. Those they're finding eliminations right now. Keep in mind, those are points, right? Starting to rack up there.
Trying to close that gap. 6 points. It's not much now, but you definitely cannot let PeterBot, 𝐒𝐷, and 𝐒𝐷 continue to get more and more eliminations as each game passes. It's almost been the trend. 69 above, though, for the Major 1 champions. They've had a few struggles in this game, but they're always figuring out a way to make it work. The zone cuts back just a little bit in their favor, and that gives them the option to look across 2-3 teams over there. That's going to be their target. I was literally just saying you cannot let them pick up these eliminations, and there goes PeterBot getting another knock onto 𝐶yNX.
The end game is just starting right now, and they're at 5 elims, so talk about really hitting up what it matters. Zone's gonna pull far east, though, giving up all that water. Straight into the landmass we go. See, most of the teams already have migrated here. 2 trios trailing behind for PeterBot, 𝐿𝐷, and 𝐒𝐷. Trying to decide. It's gonna be the first move for them right now. Big lobby pressure coming in off the 𝐶hiMP, �skittles, and 𝐒𝐿𝐷. Down low.
I think they figure a lot of these teams are going to have to rotate in their direction, and that's going to be the best chance that they got to try to catch some players off guard. Some damage able to sneak through, but not much. But this is the zone. Kelly really broke this down to start the day. They pulled it on the front side and immediately built up. Bugha, 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s, and Rapid, and they were the ones who closed out game number 6 with a victory royale. And so it's going to be interesting to see if they can actually close this one off. They're looking across and seeing who is actually going to try to make the play to contest them. Where this next zone pulls monster is going to be so pivotal on 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s, Rapid, and Bugha's next moves.
You can tell by Bugha's body language there. He is eyeing up 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡's base. They are a little too close for comfort to second height. Wouldn't put it past him to dive in, but look at this. They just can't get a break. Agers,
wow.
Oh, Acorn and 𝐵OYO get eliminated in 14th before the real placement point starts to kick in and kind of add up, but it was a struggle of a game just to even get this far. 𝐿𝐷, 𝐒𝐲, though, they have not stopped playing the perfect frontside low ground all weekend long, and they just continue to do so. Another top 10 is just moments away.
You see the huge difference, though, in their inventory this time around. The Mythic Collateral AR, the extra splashes, they did make their way on over to that black market to try to take use of their Lone Wolf POI. PeterBot looking to chop down high ground, but they got to be connected somewhere else. And that's the thing that they're going to look for it, but instead they run into 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s on the other side, but they're not backing down from any challenge, especially now since they know they're going to have to rotate. And you see them looking through the wall, eyeing that team before they rotate on out. Just trying to be very, very precise about their rotation, and they even change LAers during this next pull. Then now they're looking up. PeterBot knows if they want high ground, now would be the time to try to take it.
Yeah, they wanted to chop it down, but it's connected to the steam stack there. He didn't see or notice the fact that it is just going to be there and set up, but 𝐿𝐷, 𝐒𝐲 under the Gold Rush splash effect here, continuing to rotate. It seems like they pull a little bit of a favorable zone on the low ground as well, so that's going to be perfect for them. Meanwhile, Bugha, 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s, and Rapid managed to resecure the base here, so all that material count doesn't go to waste, but PeterBot doesn't care. He's had enough of high ground shooting down. He's starting to eye up Bugha. And we know what he does. He used that kneecapper so well to retake high ground. And then the full commit jumps to the front side of zone. 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s is there to back him up. Bugha, Rapid come on in. It's an all-out fight inside the box. 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s gets put down, though. PeterBot is showing up once again. This time, he wants to win, though.
Yeah, he took that high ground by force, and you saw when they all jumped over, Bugha, 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s, Rapid, it's like they jumped in different directions. 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s was just left by himself in the lion's den, getting eaten every chance that he gets, and now the game has just changed. A huge threat is going to be on the high ground. 𝐒𝐷, PeterBot, and 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s, they didn't get the win that they wanted in game number 1. They got the gap closed by 𝐿𝐷, 𝐒𝐲, and 𝐒𝐻𝑚, and now it's their time to reopen that spread.
What's most important is that they stay alive right now. Everyone has to stay up. 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s, though, takes a huge amount of damage right now. Someone ends up contesting them for high ground,
oh, no.
and 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s falls first. It's Cooper, and it's 𝐸𝐷 who's here now, showing up as well. But look at the fight. 𝐸𝐷 and 𝐻𝐻𝑟𝑒𝑡s show up, too, for a little bit of high ground. Everyone wants a piece of this, but PeterBot's had enough. Once again, he's here to fight back.
Taki thought it was safe. He thought it was easy,
no,
but
Cold.
sidelined by Pete. Cold goes down. Ritual as well. PeterBot able to get a knock on the one, but he knows he can't clean it up just yet. Vert's still down below, but he's getting boxed off backside of zone. PeterBot still has the siphon available when that elimination finally gets cleaned up, so he has all the time in the world here to look back at the Vert and figure out what he's going to do, and he has no chance to contest this high ground. Still a good amount of builds left for Peter as well as a solo.
The only team trio up is 𝐶𝐈𝐿 trio on the low ground. Look at how many eliminations they have managed to secure here. They are running away with things down. But PeterBot is still in this game, still looking to earn points, still looking to keep that gap from opening up any further. He's already at a total of 11 elims with the trio here. He finds Donnie as well, still finding more, and then finds Vert, making sure that he's securing the points here. He says, you may be winning the war on the low ground, but I'm here to take it all home. Hold up, PeterBot finds Higgs, and now the Cypher's starting to cook in. Another shot out to 𝐶𝐈𝐿, and he is still going right now. One thing's for certain, he's gonna keep the pressure up and make it nice and close, but in the end, 𝐶𝐈𝐿 secure the dub.
And it just leaves me asking one question. Were those eliminations that game from Ritual, Cold, and PeterBot enough to make that 11-point difference from the victory royale mean absolutely nothing? This is what we wanted. The entertainment. This is Cinema Monster.
It's crazy because it doesn't matter if you win the game if you're letting PeterBot's trio earn all of those extra points. He's just taking away the padding that you could have otherwise secured, but you have to give so much credit to 𝐶𝐈𝐿, 𝐿𝐿, and Higgs. Just a perfect, they are playing absolutely perfect front side low ground end games right now, and they're cleaning up house. 𝐒𝐈𝐿 with the final shot there to win the victory royale. 𝐶𝐈𝐿, Higgs, and 𝐒𝐈𝐿 do it once again for game number 8, Zeke.
Jacob PR, hold me. This is cinema. I cannot believe. Okay, Kelly, was there a moment where you believed PeterBot was gonna 1v3? Was there a moment where you thought,
yes,
oh no, are we about to get 1v3? It's okay, 𝐶𝐈𝐿. Look, it's me and you. It's me and you. They got themselves a victory royale. That's what I like to see, but man, that was a very scary game. PeterBot went wild, but obviously I love to see from 𝐶𝐈𝐿, 𝐒𝐈𝐿, and Higgs that they were really kind of leading the charge as they do on the low ground, right? And while everything else is happening, they're like, hey, just stick to the plan. I know it sounds like a bunch of stuff's happening and we could go for those eliminations. Let's just go for the win instead.
I mean, and they did it to a T, like what we've seen them do time and time again. Around zone 9, they're kind of playing in the back a little bit. They had so many more splashes than what we've seen them, and they utilize that. We can understand why that's such an important part of their strategy. And getting those splashes, you get a little bit of a speed boost. You are able to control the front ground. And then while all the chaos is happening on the high ground, Vivid, and that was definitely the most chaotic high ground we have had this finals for North America, well, low ground just kind of gets free elims.
It's so awesome. We're just so entertained, right? We're all just staring at high ground, right? We got